that historically is a powerhouse of black excellence. A lot of
Donald Harris, I forgot about him.
Yes, Donald, absolutely. I was going to mention his name as well. But we've had like a powerhouse and a long legacy of first, right? And some really bright and smart people who have done amazing things and risen through the ranks. Now they're, sort of governing different, aspects of city life in Atlantic City, especially educational system. And what I have to say is that I am so privileged to have worked with many of the names that you said. I'm privileged to have worked with many of the names that you said. And one of the things that Atlantic City stands out for, and I talked to educators across the state and also educators across the country. They are always in awe that our student body, our base, is so diverse for such a small area. Atlantic City is only 7 miles wide, 7 miles long and 4 miles wide, right? But over that expanse, we speak upwards of 44 or 40 plus languages in this area. So those languages are encapsulated in the school system as well, right? So we have our administrators who are nearly, almost all entirely people of color, who are running not only our high school, our board of administration, and all the schools, the elementary schools that flow from that. Many of these people are community people, like we have Jody Burrows. She grew up in Atlantic City. And
Goodness.
Yes.
If you want to get into a fight, go outside Martin Luther King complex and say something bad about Miss
No one's
Burrows.
going to do that.
Her students will fight for her.
Yes, no one's going to do that.
I am not exaggerating. Her students will fight for her.
Well, it's amazing because when you touch people in such a way and you have such a hold on your community and you're a part of the community, it has a big impact. It really makes a difference. Even her son, Matt, now, he's an educator. He works in the school system. And so what we are seeing now are generations of that. We have Gabby Caldwell and her family. Now, her daughter's in the system, right, in the school system, and she's an educator. And these are people who are doing amazing things. We also have some Latino educators, Mrs. Urena. Matter of fact, Mom Urena just retired this year, but her daughter's there. And then she is, a grandchild in the system. We have, I don't know if you know from Sovereign Avenue School, Alice Carcilli.
Yes,
Well,
she's been on the show.
Her mother's name is also Alice Carcilli, so this is her daughter.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I had the pleasure of being introduced to the union by her mom when I first became a teacher at Sovereign Avenue School.
Okay.
And she sort of took me under her wing and showed me the ropes, explained, about unionism and unions and association and what it can do for you and the value in being a member. And, talked about rights and responsibilities with me, and also that we have a voice, right? So I am so pleased that out of, what she's done with her life, she now has this daughter, Alice Carcilli Jr., and who's a leader in Atlantic County for Indivisible Atlantic City, and that's like a really big deal, right? So we are happy to have her join us on the NAACP Education Committee of the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. And these are the people who have put roots down in Atlantic City. These are the people who continue to pour into Atlantic City. Not only did they sort of set a foundation for it, now they have their children who are coming in, right?
Right.
My family alone, I think out of all of us, we may have had 7 educators come through the Atlantic City public school system. Right now we have Latifah Scott. She is an educator at...
That's your family?
Yes.
Okay,
That's my sister
right.
cousin. Yes, that
Okay.
is. She's at Texas Avenue School, right?
Okay.
She's there. We also have Tamika Young. She's one of our education support professionals who works at Pennsylvania Avenue School, my school. And then we had a couple members, Rodney Bradley, he's retired. Latifah's grandmother was at MLK School as a secretary. Unfortunately, she's passed on, but she was a union member. So we have a tradition of legacy and history in Atlantic City and passing it on through generations.
Okay, so then, if you'd have asked me about this jockey legacy, I could talk local, international, even Stockton. But how do you feel personally knowing that you are a part of that legacy now, that some young disc jockey 25 years in the future is going to have some bright young teacher on, and they're going to be saying, if it wasn't for Miss Braithwaite, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now. Because I can say I'm a lot older than you, but I can say I'm older now. I hate to think about it, but I can't be like the elders anymore. Negro, you the elder.
You are the eldest, yes. So I think you're saying who will be next, or who will teach, who will take your place.
I'm saying, how do you feel about carving out your own niche and knowing that you're somewhere in there between Alice Cash and Ananda Davis Wright.
Wow, that's woo. Well, thank you for the connection and putting me definitely in that circle of powerful influence. Those two women right there.
Well, see, on the other side, I'm going to ask you about your students, and so that will force you to understand that you've guided some people. You're listening to WLFR Pomona here on the campus of Stockton University. This is The Light, powered by AtlanticCityFocus.com, and we're here talking about education and the Atlantic City school system with educator and administrator Brenda Braithwaite.
Not an administrator.
Oh, no?
No, not an administrator in the Atlantic City Public School System. Within the Union Association for Atlantic County, for the state of New Jersey, and for the United States.
I stand corrected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So if you don't want to tackle that question yet because you have so much more educating still to do, I'll give you a pass today.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is what's important to me. The most important thing to me is that, number one, we teach our students how to think, right? We teach them how to discern information.
Right.
Because you can get information from anywhere. But is that information, number one, really credible? Is it true? And how do you fact check it? How do you make sure that you have credible information that you can rely on to make a decision?
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have to build and we have to nurture their agency. That's really important, because even though I'm an adult, your teacher, I'm an adult, I can speak for you, but there are ways that you can start to speak for yourself. There are ways that you can use your pencil or your computer and paper. You can show up in spaces and speak to different issues, right? I think it's really powerful. If you look at Newark just lowered the age for voting for the Board of Education to 16 years old. That's huge. That is huge, because now you have students who are directly impacted by all these decisions that all of us make. They're the receivers, right? They're imposed upon. Now you have them having the opportunity to talk about how they feel about budgets, cuts, or about programs being cut or programs not being offered, right? So we have to build that in them. I think that one of the things that has happened, and not to get off the subject, but the outcomes of elections, especially the presidential one, is a direct correlation to that. We don't teach a lot. It's not that we don't teach a lot. We don't teach them to have a voice for themselves and to stand up for themselves, right? So at the end of the day, I'm an adult. I can talk. I can persuade someone. I can advocate, right? How do they advocate for the things that they want? And that's what's most important to me. So if there are any students who come back, if there are any students who make a connection to me and being in a classroom, yes, I do teach math, but teaching math does not matter if your life is not a quality of life where you even want to, say I've accomplished something, nothing. What are you doing, right? How do you get to go to a place? How do you get somewhere? How do you set a goal? How do you achieve that goal if you don't have the ability to, number one, speak up? Because a closed mouth don't get fed. So.
Well, let me ask you a question on behalf of the students, because this is a question I've asked when I was a student. I know why now, but I'm asking you as the educator. What do you say to the 7th grader who is not unintelligent, but intelligently and legitimately ask you, well, I'm probably never going to be riding on a train moving at 150 miles an hour going to Texas and need to know what time I'm going to arrive in Arkansas or Pennsylvania, whatever's between Texas and where they are.
Number one, math. One of the things that I love to do is to make the connection and the realization of the connection of math just to everything you do every day. Math is built into everything. I mean, we have, babies. They, pick things up and put things down. And it's like a one-to-one correspondence. They're counting. They don't know that they're counting, but they're picking it up and putting it down. It might be the same thing repetitively, right?
Right.
So for my students, it's important to break down those things. They go shopping. They
Right.
eat at McDonald's. They are ordering from Amazon, Netflix. They have subscriptions every month. Like, all of these things cost money, and they're all a
Right.
part of what they do. You live somewhere. You're paying something for where you live.
Right.
You have to eat. How's that going to happen? What about food prices? Last
Right.
week, Takis, hot Takis were what? $1 now, and they're like $2.25. So what does that mean for your life, these numbers? How do we connect these numbers to your life so that you
Right.
can see how useful math is? And
Right.
we have to make sure that we are not watering down what we do, but we're making it accessible. It has to be accessible.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what education's job is to do, to make information accessible so that you can use it, or my students can use it, to make reasonable decisions.
Right. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Light. We're talking about education with Brenda Braithwaite. I teach poetry and creative writing, and I could go on and on about the students that have come within my atmosphere. So as we wind down, I want to give you the opportunity, or ask if you'd like to brag on some of the students that have come across your way over the years. You don't have to mention them by name, but you can talk about situations of where a student may have pleasantly surprised you.
You know what? I can tell you that those aha moments, when they get them, those are always like the most heartwarming and the most rewarding moments for me, when a student initially learns something, or you're presenting them with something, an idea, a concept, a topic, and they're like, I can't do this. What is this? This is I'm not going to be able to do this at all. And then you build that confidence in them. You take it step by step to, once again, make it accessible, make it relatable, and build the confidence that they can do it. Once again, we have so many students who are talented in so many different ways. A talent is just not, having an ability to bounce a ball, or to cook well, or to play an instrument. It's also in other things, rhythmic talent, right? We're talking about visual and performing arts. So all of these things are musically based. They're mathematically based, I meant. And we have the ability to show them, to make it easier for them to understand or to access stuff by doing exactly that. I think for me, with my students and them having those aha moments, they come in snippets. They don't come like, just got 100 on a test. It comes with, guess what? I couldn't do this yesterday, and now today I can do it. And not only can I do it today, I can teach it to someone else. That's like the most incredible thing you can do, because now they've taken that information, and now it's knowledge, and they've been able to process it and hold on it and tap it or lock it into their long-term memory. But once you can teach something that you know, that's mastery right there. So my goal is to always get them to be able to explain something to someone else, right? Because once you have that first success, many other successes just come from that. And it's amazing how students, once they realize, oh, I can do this, building that confidence, then they take those risks to raise their hands, to answer questions, to go to the board, to sit or work on a project with other students in the group. So we really have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to meet them where they are. We're not going to automatically have students who are readily able to sit in a group, right? Unfortunately, we have to deal with a lot more than academics in a classroom. Most school settings, educators are contending with what happens in the household, what happens in the neighborhood, and it spills over into the school. So we do have a lot of distractions. And the distractions go along with the job. We know that. I think Atlantic City has done an amazing job in having socio-emotional learning educators. There's one in every building, if not more, like at the high school level. And there is a coordinator for that, right? And having the ability to have educators who are trained, like well-trained, well-prepared to work with students and colleagues and staff, right? When things happen. A student comes to school in the morning, they didn't eat. Well, do you really expect them to pay attention? No. But it's not readily communicated that I didn't eat, but there are behaviors that are distracting for other students in the classroom. How do you handle that and teach, right? And manage a classroom environment at the same time so that everyone has the opportunity to possibly learn. Well, we have socio-emotional learning coaches who help us to learn that, who help us to do that, and they're on site. And they come into our classrooms and they, do other trainings for us and stuff like that. So I believe that as we are able to sort of mitigate the distractions in education, and we have our students can focus and spend more time on the task, that's when we're going to see our biggest successes. And for my students, I believe that number one, getting to the place where they come to school, and when they come to school, they can pay attention, and when they come to school, pay attention, they can participate. That's the time when learning takes place. So we have to get them to the point of participation.
You're listening to The Light right here on the mighty 91.7 WLFR Pomona. We're underwritten by AtlanticCityFocus.com, where we discuss education quite a bit, also at AtlanticCityFocus.com. We're here with educator Brenda Braithwaite. Unfortunately, I have to say goodbye to you for a little while, but the door is always open for you to come back. And in fact, I really want you to come back because there's a lot of questions I still want to ask you. And I also want you to come back and specifically speak about the relationship between educators, parents, and students, which is very important. I also wanted to ask you about I don't know if you live in Atlantic City, but what is the importance of having teachers live in Atlantic City? There have been times after I graduated where I was in the neighborhood, I walked over to Mrs. Cash's house and just knocked on the door. I was in the neighborhood.
Yes,
and
they were in the neighborhood.
Look,
yes.
And now I would definitely call before I went over, but at 20, 21, 25, you're like, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm dropping by.
Yes.
If she don't want to talk to me, she don't have to answer the door. But
at least you had opportunity to do that.
And you know what? There's never a time that I knocked on the door that she answered, or that John or Julie answered, that they were like, oh, you wait out here and she'll come on in. Every time. And like I said, now that I have a home, I understand how rude that was.
Yes. You don't want anybody just dropping in or dropping by anytime.
But I do want to ask you about that the importance of living in a city where you teach, because I think that's very important. So, like I said, there's a lot of other questions that I want to ask you that I'm not going to get a chance to ask you today. But I do want to do this. I have totally 100% manipulated today's conversation, and if there was something that you really wanted to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about, I apologize, but we'll definitely make that happen. With that being said, what would you like to say before I let you go?
Two things. Number one, I would love to come back and discuss, the connection between educators living where they work. That is very important, right? Because when you say that, now we have to talk about issues outside of just, employing someone. Now we have to talk about affordable housing. We have to talk about wages, being able to afford where you live.
Yes.
That's a huge concern for us, and a lot of educators are priced out of the market where they work.
Right.
So yes,
Indeed.
definitely talk about that. And then the connection between educators, parents, and the community. How do we, as an educational system, reach out to the parents to have the system benefit the community in a way that you can see what's going on and you can know. I know in Atlantic City we do a lot of outreach. I can come back and talk about the programs that we do from the Atlantic City school system so that we do make sure that we're communicating. As a matter of fact, one of the key pieces of our communication for the district is your brother. He, happens to be, part of the Atlantic City payroll and for Board of Education. And he does a wonderful job communicating what's going on at our schools and, the things that our students are winning or participating in or,
Yes.
just the celebration. So
Yes.
he keeps us well informed.
Yes.
So that's a big piece of that, And there's always more that we can do to pull parents in. And I think that we do exhaust all of our means to do that. However, there's always room for improvement.
I want to send a shout out to my brother because I think as a PR person, I know he works directly under Dr. Small. And so she's actually directing more than my brother is. So I want to make sure that, especially if she's listening, so I want to make sure that's clear. But my brother and I have always had the attitude that Atlantic City gets a bad rap for the few negative things that happen.
Agreed.
And it's always, even when I was in high school, there have been 1,000 amazing things that happen that don't get coverage or don't get talked about. When you do come back, I'm going to put you under the gun. Well, not under the gun, but I'm going to ask you how we get the senior fashion show back, because I think that is definitely needed.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Or if we can get it back. But I think we definitely need it back.
I think all things are possible. It's just,
Yeah.
Definitely trying to get all the parties together so that we can build consensus. And then, once again, someone's going to have to direct and coordinate that, so we'd have to have some volunteers. And I know, my plate, the plate is so full, it's done, okay? The plate wants to walk away from the plate.
I hear you, but if we had another 20 minutes, I would go back and forth with you about the senior fashion show and
it used to be amazing, yes, and what it meant, and
what
the
it meant,
impact,
and
yes.
And it was a way for students and community to work with local businesses, Miller's Men's Store and
Wow. Woo.
Highs and I can't think
Highs
of it.
2 for $25.
No, but I'm trying to think of, because one of the problems would be is we don't have like Bambergers and everything like all this,
We used to have,
all the
yes.
great stores we used to have. So it was a lot easier and it made more sense. But we could do it, and our kids need to wear some tuxedos and some gowns and.
Well, you should see them for the school dances and the proms. They're absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
okay. All right, I'm not mad at you.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So it's 12:15, and I promised I would have you out by 12. If you have anything left to share, you can. If you'd like to stick around and listen to some old school music and talk some trash, you can. Or I will let you go. Either way, I'm so thankful that you took your time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me here. And once again, yes, I would love to return and definitely to talk about, the larger, more important issues like education cuts, the impact that's going to have to New Jersey, especially right here in Atlantic County, how people are going to be affected, how families are going to be affected, how schools are going to be affected, and maybe some things that we can do to sort of, mediate it so that the impact is felt the least. If we can, we don't know, right? It all depends.
Okay, so we're going to do that.
Yep.
And full disclosure, before I let you go, I may as well let the listening audience know you have soft-handedly told me that you have other guests and people in the know who you want to bring on. So this will not be your last time co-hosting. And actually, there'll be times when you come in with a guest, and I'll kind of step back and maybe chime in a question or two, but I'll let you take the mic and do what it is that you need to do to get the word out.
I would love to participate in that way.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Light right here on the mighty 91.7 WLFR Pomona here.